Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well. Donald Trump just conceded defeat. And that is, he picked the lowest hanging fruit in order to make a point, which is, we will not lose, we are winners. How? I will show you. That's the first topic. The second topic is Vladimir Putin comes and says that Russia is safe militarily for the next century, is set. He claims that the two missiles, one that flies in the air, the other one that goes under the water, which is the Vucic, and the other one is the Poseidon, ensure Russia's parity with the West for the next century. Well, I will explain why that could be if Putin and everybody else remain in place for the next century. It seems like this is a pissing contest between the Americans, or in this case Trump, and Vladimir Putin. We'll see. Now, the third topic, Vladimir Putin says, yeah, okay, we were testing the Vucic missile, okay, and NATO vessels were spying on us. What do you think Vladimir Putin's answer is to that? Is he concerned? Let them watch. Of course you want them to watch. Russia and China broke out of the Anglo-Saxon financial system. I don't have a glass of wine here, but I would celebrate. Why? They broke out of prison. Russia and China trade almost 100% outside Western currencies. That's why Russia was kind of immune to all the sanctions the Anglo-Saxon banks, international banks, imposed on Russia at the beginning of the war in Ukraine. Next topic, I will show you Russia's attitude towards Serbia's decision to sell its weapons and ammunition to the West and allow the West to sell it or give it to the Ukrainians. Now, if this would be, let's say, instead of the Russian Federation, would be the Americans, and someone in Serbia's position would do such a thing to the United States' enemy, what do you think the United States would say and in the next second do? Exactly. Well, I will show you Russia's answer to that. And I would like you to pick a side. Which side you want to rather be? The third, or the fourth, I think, topic is Serbia, which is Vucic in this case. The president of Serbia seems like he caved in to the Western pressure, which he announced that Serbia will hold early elections, Vucic claims. I will discuss this with you because it's very important. Who is this Vucic actually? If he wins again, the people in the streets will not say, oh, well, okay, now it's second in a row or third in a row. We have to accept the outcome. No. So that means he actually is organizing his own seppuku, his own ceremony, harakiri, cuts his belly and gets out. Why? He can't win. Even if he wins fair and square, the forces behind some of the demonstrations in Serbia will not stop. That is not the goal. The goal is you have to go, we have to win, or we have to be in power and sell Serbia to Brussels and its masters. That's the whole goal. So I know exactly what Vucic tries to do here. He's not going to appease anybody. He's going to anger his base because he might be winning, and then the show must go on the same way it went for the past year. So let's start with the first topic, and this is Donald Trump. Russia Today, 4th of November 2025. We have enough nukes to blow up the world 150 times, Trump says. Well, that is true. That is true. Now you tell me, if Donald Trump says this, how would the Western media analyze it and comment on it? Imagine that Vladimir Putin would say the same thing, which the same thing is true for the Russians. We have enough nukes to blow up the world 150 times. What do you think they will say about Putin? Obviously, he's crazy. Obviously, he should not be about or around any position of power. Now, the way I want to analyze this is not that people are crazy. For me, I think this is Trump's conceding the low-hanging fruit the United States is nowadays, probably compared with the Russians. Now, I don't think the Russians are much better or even better. In some things, they are better. In some things, they're not better. They're worse. The point is this. Remember, the Russians have, I think, is a doomsday doctrine or something like this. And that is, it goes like this. If Russian Federation is attacked or is about to be collapsing by outside forces and it's a major attack, we're dying, we could detonate all our nukes on our own territory and blow up the world 150 times. So this is a defeatist, I think that's how you call it, attitude, in which he says, you know, if I lose, I'm just going to blow everybody up. And I used this many times before to make a point in the Ukraine-Russia war, which is US-NATO war against Russia, which is you can't win. Winning meaning losing and the world will blow up. This is the last resort, a losing resort. But Trump says it without even being at war, supposedly. So what does that tell you? We don't have to compete with those guys. We're just going to blackmail the world. It's exactly something I said about what Putin could do, but he doesn't. Which is, you give us Ukraine, otherwise we blow up the world 150 times. This is what a madman that Putin is supposedly would do, but he doesn't. Donald Trump says that. You have never heard Vladimir Putin saying anything like that. Now, it's for you to analyze. Let's go to the second topic. And this is Putin saying, probably, if I leave Russia sufficiently armed and prepared never to lose against the West for the next 100 years. Never. Russia's new weaponry to ensure strategic parity for whole century. Moscow does not threaten anyone, but is steadily developing its nuclear arsenal, the Russian president has said. The latest addition to Russia's nuclear arsenal, the Burevestnik cruise missile and Poseidon underwater drone, are set to ensure the country has strategic parity throughout the entire 21st century, he said. Our country is not threatening anyone. Russia, like all other nuclear powers, is developing its nuclear and strategic potential, he said. The result you have achieved is, without exaggeration, of historic significance for our people. It ensures security and strategic parity for decades to come. One could safely say for the entire 21st century, he said. Well, so, what do you think? Well, it is true. It is probably true what Putin says for now. Maybe in 10 years the Americans will develop something the Russians have never dreamt of, even dreaming about it, not even thinking about, oh, maybe one day we could have something like that. We don't know. The point is this. Putin, I think, he has to make this speech because he was in front of some cadets and so on. It's great, or scientists, or whomever he was awarding some medals. What the hell? Too much heroin tonight? What the fuck? Whew. Anyway, so the point is, you don't attack and destroy Russia like that. They tried in Ukraine. They failed. They tried economically. Why? Because by destroying Russia economically and financially would trigger the masses, spontaneous uprising. That was the whole point. And the guys who are in the Russian government and in position of power and control would do what they were trained to do and paid by the Westerners. Yes, they are. In the Russian government, I guarantee you there are people who work for other agencies. Now the Russians might know about them or might not know. Don't you think that the Russians don't have a general somewhere or a colonel somewhere or maybe a good politician in security, whatever apparatus that is very well positioned? They do have them. Probably they know about them, probably not. I have no idea. Some you know, some you don't. That's for sure. This is ABC 1, 2, 3. It's not like I'm going to say tomorrow is going to be a sunny day. No, tomorrow is going to be another day. I don't know what kind of day, but it is a day. So I can't give you details. So Putin ignores the fact that Russia will collapse from within, not from outside. That is the danger. Danger, stranger, danger, whatever it is. So yes, next one. And this is what Putin said about being spied on, not he, their tests. Ukrainska Pravda. Putin boasts again about developing nuclear weapons. Let NATO watch. No, I didn't take it that way, but hey, I will read the context and what he said. Vladimir Putin has once again been bragging about Moscow's weapons developments. Well, that's the way I am. I am for people who are arrogant. I am for them. Under only one condition, actually two conditions. One, they have something to be arrogant about. And the second one, don't brag too much. So you brag, you point out to everybody, I'm the best, you are losers. Well, you can say that about 50 times. Beyond 50 times, it's bad taste. I think that's the way I am. I know, an arrogant piece of shit. But nevertheless, if you have a quality, you should not be human. No, actually, I can't. No, I don't. We all the same. No, I'm better. You are worse at this one. You might be good at another one. You all have to know that and admit it. That's reality. That's a fact. You don't like that? Get better, my friend. Get better. And then when you're going to surpass me, you can be human how much you want. You can be like, oh, no, Emily's better than me. Oh, fake, all that. Got it? So he says, well, this is what we got. Putin's going to say this for about 5 more times. I think he already said it 3 times. I allow him to do that. It's a big achievement. After all, has this happened in your life? When you have an achievement, let's say you buy something you wanted to buy for a long time, decades, maybe something that you dreamt of when you were a child, and you finally achieved that through your own effort, through your own work and calculation and planning. Don't you feel like telling everybody not to brag, but to be so happy about your achievement? It happened to me a few times, and people thought I was bragging, and I was thinking, do I brag? I was just sharing how happy I was achieving that goal of my life. Now, if you think that's bragging, you're not my friend. That means you're a person who are jealous. You should enjoy my happiness as I should, and I would enjoy your happiness. This is friendship. Anyway, so Putin right here, he's sharing with his friends in the West. Friendship. Druzba. Source, Putin at a ceremony to honor the developments of the Bureveshnik and Poseidon missile systems as reported by Russian media. So it was a ceremony. How many ceremonies do you think Putin will have? 50,000? The Kremlin ruler, he's ruler, but Zelensky is a president, boasted that, and I'm quoting, our domestic materials are used in the Poseidon and Bureveshnik missiles. That's fantastic, man. That's extraordinary. Self-reliance. Something that nowadays you should not have. You should depend on the bank. Alright? Or you should depend on the government. So whenever you do something they don't like, they pull the plug off and you're gonna obey. Like a modern economic, happy, supposedly, slave that you are. Or we are. Self-reliance. This is where it is. He also said that new generations of weapons are already being developed based on a nuclear propulsion system similar to that used in Bureveshnik. Ura, that's fantastic. Opa. Hello. All right, according to Putin, these technologies, and I'm quoting, will help build a station on the moon and probably on the Mars for that guy. You know, that guy who dreams of going to the Mars. That's imbecilic. The Russian rulers claim that a NATO reconnaissance ship, when you say reconnaissance, that's a spy ship, had been present in the Bureveshnik test zone on 21st of October, but that Russia had not interfered with its activities. And I'm quoting, "Let them watch," he said. Putin insisted that Russia poses no threat to anyone. Russia, like all other nuclear powers, is developing its nuclear potential. Let them watch. Sometimes you don't have to say anything, just let them see how you train. I remember when I used to, fight in competitions in Kyokushin, and I had people who would come to watch, from potential fighters that would fight in the nationals, fight in Kumite I'm talking about. And they would come, we know one another, we know people, we train together sometimes in all kind of training camps and so on. But we were spying on one another. You want to see what the other guy was doing. So whenever these guys would come to our dojo, either just to watch or to train nicely, you would put up everything you had. Why? To scare the motherfucker. Obviously. You would not show your techniques, but you would show certain things. You would die on the tatami before you say, "I'm tired," or "I can't do this." You will be dying. You wouldn't say that anyway, but just so you know. So the same with this guy. Yeah, the best way is to show, not to talk like the Americans. "Oh, we can do this, we can fly this, we can blah, blah, blah. We have the best military in the world," Trump, all the time. You can't fight the Houthis. Iran smacked you back one time and you ran with the tail between your tails. What the hell are you talking about? The greatest military. There was another disservice Donald Trump did to the American people, which is show everybody else the limitations, the real limitations of the US. Instead of saying, "Oh, we can do, we can do, we can do." That's why maybe they always need allies to attack and smack, Libya, 4 million people with NATO. Or like Saddam Hussein, 20 million people. Okay, that's why. Maybe, I'm just saying. And then you have the jackals in London who always are over there like a hyena to see if the lion still got it. And if the lion doesn't got it, then it's gonna eat the lion. That's the way it works. All right, let's go to the next one. Russia-China trade almost 100% outside Western currencies. What does that tell you? That tells you that the sanctions, the financial sanctions, and the petrodollar can suck a big chunk from now on. And they're not collapsing because you can say, well, they trade what? $1 for one egg. That's all they do. Well, their trade is about billions. And only billions. They're not collapsing. They have a trade in their own currency outside of the SWIFT messaging, whatever, financial messaging. They're outside of it. That's why these guys cannot do anything. Militarily cannot, financially cannot, economically cannot. With subversion inside the country, they will try with their NGOs and their media inside Russia or inside China, but they're known. They're known. So, next one. Let's talk about Serbia. The Kremlin comments on Serbia's offer to sell arms to EU. Now, the Americans, if that would be the case, they would say, we're going to place sanctions on you, we're going to slap you with this, we might bomb you, we do it again, we will hurt you. This is what the Russians says. President Alexander Vucic is facing unprecedented pressure from the West. Dmitry Peskov has said. Moscow is fully aware of the immense pressure the West is placing on Serbia in an attempt to push Belgrade into antagonizing Russia. Peskov said. His remark followed Serbian President Alexander Vucic's recent expression of willingness to sell weapons to EU member states, even if they eventually end up in Ukraine. Why? The Russians gave them, I think, a green light because the Ukrainians are collapsing. Why? If let's say you fight with me. Let's say I have 10 million people and you have 3 people. 3. And I have 10 million, you have 3. And the Americans give you 50,000 Patriot systems. They give you 5 billion F-16 and F-35s, and they give you 50,000 submarines, nuclear armed submarines. You can't use them. You're 3. What are you going to do? What are you going to do, man? That's the point here. Probably Moscow says, give them whatever you want. They are so depleted in manpower that they can't use it, cannot use it. And we are so good, give them and give them. It's like you play chess. Have you played chess? And I think it's called forehand or something like this. I'm so good that I give you. I say, okay, what do you want me to take from my forces? You want me to take the queen, play against you without the queen? I can play without, I don't know, Tura or whatever you call it, a crazy guy. I can't remember how you say it in English. But anyway, I take 3 pieces out because I know I will beat you up. The same, probably Russia says, Serbia, give them whatever you want. They're 3 people. They can shoot like 3 people, not like 10 million as we are. So I think they're already spoken to one another. Now, this is what happened. Peskov stated on Tuesday that Russia, and I'm quoting, understands what unprecedented pressure is being put on Serbia. Have you ever heard the United States of America using the word I understand and I'm not doing anything about it? Where I say I understand, but I'm going to smack you. He described the issue of Serbian arms export as not at all a simple story. In an interview with German's Cicero magazine in Thursday, Vucic said that Serbia's warehouses are full of ammunition and we are producing more. So I offered our friends in the European Union to conclude a purchase agreement with us and take everything we have. Got it? The buyers can do with it what they want. So did you hear that? Let them do it. They're sovereign, independent. They can do whatever they want. Do you remember when I can't remember I think it was Peskov who was told, or Lavrov, I think Peskov again, he was told that India might not purchase Russian oil anymore due to the American sanctions, hurting, not understanding, And Peskov said, well, India is an independent sovereign country. They can do whatever they want to pursue their interest. We don't like it, but what can we do? Well, do you think the Americans will have reacted in the same way? Just so you know. Now, if you think, oh, no, Emil, that's better the other way, well, I hope that someone does that to you. Which one would you prefer? The Russian way or the American way? You tell me. Well, if you like the American way, I hope it happens to you many, many times. Or maybe one time and you're done. All right, next one. I'm just saying. I mean, if you like it, I want you to like it. Deep and hard. All right. And what's going on with Vucic? Russia Today. Serbia will hold early elections. Vucic, the president, has claimed the unrest is part of a coordinated color revolution backed by Western governments and NGOs. So what do you think will happen if you win? Do you think that coordination will stop? Then why do you do it? To show your supporters? They're your supporters anyway. Serbian President Alexander Vucic has said he will call early parliamentary elections in light of the ongoing anti-government protest. Well, you see what this is? The thing with the protest. In a society, it's almost impossible to have everybody agreeing with the government, correct? You're going to have people who have different visions, different desires, different goals, different dreams. So you will not have, you always have people, groups that will get together and will be against the government. And that's great. That's great. Why? You like dissent, because when you have dissent, you have discussions, you have debate, you have the government not be relaxed and getting fat and getting more power. Okay, so that's good. That's healthy. If you have unanimity, there's a problem. First, I don't think it's possible. You can have a kind of unanimity in certain issues, like defending the borders. Everyone in America should be for that. Or everyone who is, let's say, broke the law of the United States of America should be taken and thrown away or punished by being thrown away. Everybody should agree with that. You broke the law by entering this private property of the American people illegally. That means you trespassed. We're going to catapult you back safe and nice. We're going to give you some money. I'm going to give them some money. I am willing, even though you say I'm an American because I wanted to be an American. I didn't come from my mom's vagina, which is not, anyway, pussy that way. Anyway, I didn't come out and say, I'm an American man, I'm so proud. I did something to become an American. I wanted. So I'm willing to give tens of thousands of dollars to people who do not like this country at all, and they want certain groups to disappear, to go somewhere. I pay that ticket. I don't know, wherever they want to go. They want to go to Africa, they could go to Africa. They want to go to Israel, they should go to Israel. And other, I just mentioned this because they are the most obvious. Okay, so in this case, Vucic, what is he trying to prove? These guys will not be with him. Anyway, so anti-government protest will always be. So let's say tomorrow Vucic is going to have elections. And let's say someone else is winning. And you're going to have the losing side orchestrating anti-government protests. So what should do the next ones? The ones that just won? Call early elections because you have a group that is dissatisfied? That's the whole purpose of democracy. The majority gets to rule, supposedly. No? Demos, right? The people rule, the majority. So you can't just change things because you have some people who are unhappy. You will always have people unhappy. That means you're going to have early elections each and every day? I mean, Vucic, what is he trying to do? Lose? If lose, what's going to happen next? I don't think he wants to lose in the parliament or whatever. It's not the presidential elections, from what I heard. So what is he going to do? And you know the reason why this anti-government protest erupted a year ago? I think it's Novi Sad right here. In November 2024, after a roof collapse at a railway station in Novi Sad, killed 16 people. Horrible. And they say that government's corruption. That's what the government's fault for that roof collapsing. That's what they say. Now, this is the Russians. Probably things are more complex than that. Vucic has supporters claim that protests are externally driven attempts at a regime change and are part of a coordinated color revolution backed by Western governments through the use of the NGOs. Now, when you say Western governments, you have to you can pinpoint them. Western governments. It's not Spain. It's no Portugal. It's no Ireland. Okay, it's the Republic of Ireland I'm talking about. He has accused opposition forces of coordinating with Western, Croatian and Albanian intelligence agency to topple, his government. Well, good luck to you. Now, if you win, do you think these guys will stop? They will not stop. Now, if you lose, what do you think will happen? The people in charge will offer Serbia and the Serbian people on the silver platter to Brussels and the owners of Brussels, which are the same owners of the US, mind you. Okay, so what are you going to become? You're going to become as Romania, as Hungary more or less, and other countries in the European Union, vassal states, legal vassal states. And that's it. They will change your culture. You're going to see all kind of, how do you call that, not vulgarities, deviant behavior being pushed into the main culture. They will say this thing should be acceptable. If not, you're a phobe of various kinds or east of a certain kinds. And they're going to change your culture, your traditions, and everything else. And after that happens, what are they going to do? Or at least I eat better. Is that what it is? The thing is more freedom in the European Union. Go and check them out and see. Go over there, go in Germany and say, I have a question regarding the Second World War with the killing of the... Go and say, I have a question. You don't have to say, I kind of don't like the entire story. I don't think the entire story is really the way it was. The entire, dot and comma and exclamation, everything. You have to agree with every little thing. There's no other historical event in the world that you can have questions about or is already complete. You can't add anything. Everything that was studied about it, it was studied, and you cannot add or subtract anything. You can add more million people died and more survivors, and even though it's fucking 80 some years after the fact. Anyway, this is the only one. Go and do it in Germany and in France. Go and say, and you're going to be called a denier. Why? Because I don't think it was this like that. I think based on the information and evidence, you're not supposed to use that evidence. Only these testimonies, the other ones were tossed in the garbage. They were testimonies against the testimonies of Auschwitz. Did you know about that? There are books written about that. All right, go and study that. I'm not going to talk on YouTube about that one. They already got me anyway under the scrutiny. All right, thank you very much for being with me again today. They turned the lights off on me. ADL, click. IPAC and the Aragon Wiesenthal Center. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.